Bonjour. Well, a few episodes ago, I featured Le Store in Boussac. And the introduction to that video I shot in front of the Chateau, Creuzette, also in Boussac. And at that stage, it was closed for the winter season. And at the moment, I am walking through the gardens of La Creuzette, and the reason for that is I was invited by Louis and Hardy, the previous owners, to come and show you the interior of La Creuzette, which you can probably see at the back. So let's go to the front door and I can show you the interior. Right, we're at the front door. Let's go inside. Okay, we are now inside La Crosette, but before I show you the interior, I would like you to meet the gérante, the managing director of La Crosette, and that is the Vera Oret. Hello, Tefera.
Hi, Leon.
Right, could you tell the people how you ended up in La Crozette?
Yes, it's actually quite an interesting story because I was living in Cape Town at the time and I worked, I was kind of settled, I was a little bit older, and then I decided to take a year just to travel. So I quit my job, they've offered me a sabbatical. I said, no, I have to open myself to literally anything that can happen.
Okay.
So I went for the year, and then my year of traveling actually started in France, in Boussac at La Crozette, because somebody put me in contact with Hardy and Louis, and
Right.
I came to spend 3 months here to see what they do, to kind of learn a little bit from them and help them, like a
Okay.
little working holiday.
Yeah.
And after 2 months, I fell in love with a French man. And at the same time, Hardy and Louis asked me if I wouldn't be willing to stay on and manage the business for them because they wanted to take a bit of a step back. And then I,
Okay.
of course, said yes,
Yes.
because I was in love with this French man, and everything happened just at the same time. And then I just said, well, why not? And that's how I say.
Great.
So my year's travel started in Boussac and it also ended in Boussac.
And how long have you been here?
So it's been 7 years. It was in April
Wow.
2015 that I arrived in Boussac.
Okay.
Yes, so a little bit over 7 years now.
Yes. Tefera, could you tell us what you offer here at La Creuzette?
Yes. So basically, at La Crosset, in the past, where it started, it was with the tour, the themed holiday groups that we do.
Right.
And as it was Hardy and Louis' private home, they welcomed the people into their home, and it was a week long where people come and there would be a theme, so either painting or cooking or writing or a little bit of everything in the area.
Right.
So interesting things like Orbison for the tapestries, Limoges for the porcelain, the gardens, the markets.
Right.
So that's one of our biggest business, where we offer the themed holidays, where we have a program running from April to October, and then in that time we've got our week-long themed holidays.
Right.
And
How many people
can we accommodate on the group?
as a group? Yes.
So we can go up to 16 people in a group.
Wow.
We've got 8 double rooms, so 16 people sharing.
Right.
And then so basically during the year we've got our set programs, but people can we also have gaps in between where we can do tailor-made programs. So if somebody wants to bring a group of friends, or if they want to bring their family, then they
Yes.
can literally contact us and we make a tailor-made program for them based on what they want, what their needs are, what their
Right.
hobbies are, and their interests
Okay.
are. So everything is possible basically.
And for example,
at La
if
Crozet.
people are just passing through Boussac,
Yes. So then, when I joined, we started doing the short stay bed and breakfast bookings, and that we do on a very luxurious bed and breakfast basis for a
Right.
minimum of 2 nights. People can book on short stay, and that then includes obviously their room and breakfast. And if it's groups of 4 people or more, then we also offer extra a dinner or a lunch if they would like to organize that
wow,
with their reservation.
okay,
And then we, of course, also do a lot of events. So we'll have weddings, we've got dinner parties, birthday parties, we've got the
Okay.
amazing garden where
I
it's the
know.
most beautiful backdrop for wedding.
I know.
So we've
stunning.
had beautiful weddings here. We've had people from South Africa actually coming, where they've had the ceremony, the cocktail party, and the dinner party. And what's nice about the garden being so big is
Yeah.
we have lots of space to move around. So we'll start with the ceremony in one section of the garden, then the cocktail party will be on the opposite side, and then the
Oh,
reception will be
nice.
again on another side. So the guests really walk around and really get that
Yes,
whole feel for the garden,
yes.
which is nice. And then with the French, that we have a lot the way they book the garden for they call it the vin d'honneur, which is like the cocktail party.
Right.
And then they will rent only the garden, and they'll bring in their own caterers and their own tents and everything, and they set up, and we just supply the venue basically.
Great. Yeah.
And then obviously any birthday parties, we can do conferences, we can inside in the summer house we can accommodate up to 35 people, and then in the
Okay.
garden we can obviously accommodate quite a few people, but
Yes.
then the weather would need to be nice.
Yeah.
So yes, we always said that everything is possible, because whatever you want we can make it happen.
Well, I will supply the viewers with a contact. You've got a website.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and contact numbers, email,
Yes.
etc. I will
Everything
provide
will-
them with
yes.
that.
And the best is always to just write directly to me on email. I normally
Sure.
respond quite immediately.
Okay.
So yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a
I'm
pleasure,
going to
Leon.
show them the rest of the Chateau
Yes,
La
please
Creuzette
do.
now.
Enjoy.
Thank
you,
you.
Leon.
Thank you. Right, people, this is Hardy Olivier, and I asked him to tell us a bit more about the history of La Creuzette.
Thank you, Leon. I think I need to start a little bit further back because Boussac actually dates from Gallo-Roman times, and La Creuzette was built on what used to be a Roman marketplace. And the name of the village used to be Boussacum. And right behind me, if you look further back, there's a beautiful rhododendron bush, and hidden inside that bush is a road sign that actually was on the highway, the Gallo-Roman highway that ran all the way to Limoges from here. But Boussac itself really became quite famous because of one of its inhabitants, the Maréchal Jean de Brosse, who was a companion in arms of Joan of Arc. And it was Jean de Brosse who built the big castle in town,
Right.
15th century.
Yes.
And of course added on later on. And at that time Boussac used to be a fortified village, so where La Creuzette is was completely outside the village walls. Just a little bit about La Creuzette. The mayor of the town at that time was a man by the name of Monsieur Le Gravière des Fosses, who was a doctor, and he boarded with an interesting family in town.
Yes.
Until of course he met his lovely wife to be and decided to build this house for her. So this was kind of his gift to her when they got married.
Wow.
And he appointed one of the local architects in 1873. In December of 1873, the plans were handed over to Monsieur Le Gravière.
Sure.
And of course he loved what he saw.
Yeah.
And it was built, or it was designed in what people here call Napoleon III. It's, it's the last emperor of France, in a style that was almost created for him by the famous architect Garnier, who built, of course, the most beautiful opera house in central Paris, the Opera Garnier. So the style of La Creuzette was really inspired by Garnier, and many of the architects copied the style. So they were. It's not really a particular style, it's a mix of everything.
Okay.
And La Creuzette was done in typical Napoleon III style.
Oh.
So the house took about 3 years to be built, and when they moved in. As Louis always used to say, one can see when you walk through the interior of the house it was a house of love, because there are all sorts of little interesting decorative details like the lovebirds on the cornices, and so was a little bit ostentatious in its time. But beautiful quand même, as they say.
Yeah.
The Le Gravière de Fosses, unfortunately, the family didn't have children, so it was his niece that inherited the property. In fact, the family owned several properties throughout France, the central part towards the south of France, and when Madame Michel Renaud, his niece, when she met her husband to be, and the uncle actually said to her, you have a choice of which property you'd like to inherit. And because she met the Count Saint-Gall de Pons here at La Creuzette when she was 7 years old, she decided that this was to be the house that she'd like to inherit. So we really, of course, we bought from them eventually. By the time we met the Countess Saint-Gall de Pons, she was in her 90s, and it was really the children who pushed her to sell the property, because you know, in France, death duties and all those things make it quite complicated.
When was that? When did you buy the place?
We saw La Creuzette for the first time in October 2000.
Sure.
Louis had already been living in France, painting at our. We had a small cottage in a region close by, in fact 60 kilometers away. And I was thinking of changing my life. I always promised myself when I joined the bank that at the age of 40 I wanted to retire. And I just turned 41, so it really was time. And it was over a weekend that I visited Louis that we found La Creuzette in a magazine. Of course, after we visited, we fell in love immediately. And well, the rest, as they say, is history. We made the decision over a weekend. I flew back to South Africa, resigned my job, put my house on the market, And 3 months later, we arrived in France and
Oh.
ready to start the job.
And tell me the condition at that stage.
The house was a little bit neglected.
Okay.
You know, it was one of the family properties, and during the Second World War, I think was the only time that the
Yeah.
St. Galdepons family lived here, because
Okay.
people tended to leave the cities.
Sure.
And so during the Second World War, the whole family lived here. The Count and Countess, together with his 7 children.
Yes.
And interestingly enough, they also accommodated several Jewish families that fled the cities,
Okay.
tried to find a safe haven in the area.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was after the Second World War, when life continued normally again.
Yes.
Everybody went back to their homes, and the Crozette really just was a summer residence.
Okay.
And during the months of August and September, the whole family, this used to be where they gathered.
Right.
But later on, I think, you know, from the 80s onwards,
Yes.
you know, the children got on with their lives, they had their families,
Sure.
and they came to visit fewer times, because the reality is every time they came, there was work to be done.
Yeah.
And,
And they didn't want to work.
or, you know, have to spend money to replace the roof.
Yeah.
So very little was done, but still, you know, when Louis and I walked in, we could see the potential of the property.
Yeah, of course. And tell me, at that time, during the Second World War, was this part under the Vichy government?
Totally, and because of its proximity to Vichy, there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of German occupation. So yeah, they were pretty much left to lead their lives
Okay.
in quite peaceful fashion.
Right. Okay.
In fact, somebody always used to talk about the fact that they used to come, and at the back door there's a bell.
Yeah.
And apparently they had a cow or 2 grazing
Yeah.
in the grounds at La Creuzette. So in the morning somebody would go and milk the cows, and people could come and ring the bell and buy some milk.
Aye, wonderful. Thank you so much, Hardy.
You're welcome.